Good morning and welcome to Travels with Monkey Boy. Today we are doing day two in Phuket, Thailand. The Aegean, Adriatic, Arabian, Mediterranean, Black, Red, and Caspian are what the ancient Greeks called the seven seas. I always thought it was a bit arbitrary, as there was really nothing separating the Aegean, Adriatic, and Mediterranean. Sort of like looking at the US from an airplane and asking how many states you see. The famed seven seas were basically just bodies of water in the neighborhood of Greece, and according to the IHO, the Caspian isn't even a sea, it's a saltwater lake. The term seven seas today refers to the Arctic Ocean, Southern Ocean, Indian Ocean, North Pacific, South Pacific, North Atlantic, and South Atlantic. You see what they did there? Splitting the Atlantic and Pacific into two different things and completely making up a new ocean just so you could get a modern definition of the seven seas. Seems way stupider than what the Greeks did. And when I say made up an ocean, when I was a kid, there were just four oceans: the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Indian, and the Arctic. In 2000, the IHO suddenly designated the Southern Ocean as an ocean. What the? I don't remember voting for that. I don't even remember reading it happening. And we're pissed off about the Gulf of America? The Southern Ocean is a body of water that touches the Atlantic, the Indian, and Pacific Oceans. It is defined as the body of water south of the 60-degree latitude. So, an arbitrary man made line defines an arbitrary body of water. Seems like the IHO, that's the International Hydrographic Organization, for those of you too lazy to look it up, needed something to brag about at cocktail parties. In the world today, there are more than 90 bodies of water that are given the name ocean, though the IHO only recognizes 60. Like we can trust the IHO after that whole Southern Ocean debacle. And I bring this up because for the next 2 days, we will be spending 8 hours of each day on the sea, the Andaman Sea. That is the sea that surrounds Phuket, separates India from Thailand, and of course is also oddly named. It seems like the second half of a thought. Look, there's a woman and a man, see? Sadly, that's not how it got its name. It's actually an English derivation of Hanuman, the Hindu monkey god, which is what the locals call the body of water. Today, we took the luxury boat trip to see Phang Nang Bay. I'm not a luxury kind of a guy, but with Danielle's recent back surgery, successful so far, most of the speedboats that are cheaper and more exciting all read not recommended for people with back issues. This was the only boat that didn't have that warning and also said a luxury cruise equipped with a full bar, day beds, DJ, and dance floor. So, yeah, we were part of the yachting world, at least for one day. The boat, the scenery, you cannot escape puns in Southeast Asia, was indeed luxurious. A catamaran with two decks and room for 160. Our 8 hour cruise consisted of four stops. The first, the Andaman Sea, is famed for great snorkeling, but not on this trip. They offered only one chance to get into the water, and it was totally random stop. 200 yards off of a not particularly attractive beach, they just stopped the boat, let out a floating perimeter, unfurled a slide, and offered paddle boats and pool toys to play with and let us jump in the water for an hour. I mean, it was fine. It was a hot day and the water was warm, but refreshing. But come on, snorkeling Mecca, and they couldn't find a spot for us reef heads? I was pretty disappointed. Stop number two, Phing Island, was one of my favorites from the last time I was here 25 years ago. They are a series of sea caves carved over time by the ocean against the karst rocks. We had local guides take us on sea kayaks on a winding path through the caves and karsts. The third stop is kind of weird. Khao Phing Khan. I mean, it's spectacular, but it's weird because everybody calls it James Bond Island. Indeed, it was prominently displayed in the James Bond movie The Man with the Golden Gun, 50 years ago. Look around the boat. I think Danielle and I were the only ones alive when the movie came out, and Danielle was a baby. I suppose once a thing gets its nickname, it kind of sticks. And while Man with the Golden Gun was 1974, there's a new James Bond movie every 2 years. So it's a nice way to steal the branded fame from a series of mostly mediocre movies and attach it to one of the most beautiful places in the world. But let's face it, no one would go to it if it was come see beautiful Phing Khan. But that's humanity. And speaking of stealing mediocre films fame and attaching it to one of God's miracles, The Beach, a stupid movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, was filmed on this beautiful beach at our stop number 4, surrounded by karst mountains in what used to be a secluded, idyllic spot in the Andaman Sea. Now, of course, because of branding, it has become a ridiculously overcrowded tourist site that they have to close for a few months at a time because of the adverse effect of swarms of humans stomping on a precious jewel. One thing I think we learned on this trip is find islands that are not too popular. The boat trip back was lovely. They did play loud dance music, but we sat up on the beach chairs on the upper deck, listened to ABBA songs, sipping margaritas, and watched the world pass into the setting sun. Not a bad way to spend the day. All right, I'm going to take you first to, let's go take a look at the maps. All right, if you remember, here we were in Chengdu where we started. And here is Phuket. And today's trip, this is all the Andaman Sea. And this is the famous bay. And we stopped at a series of little islands along the way. And speaking of sea, let me take you real quick over to see what I was talking about at the beginning. And these are the 7 seas of the ancient world: the Mediterranean, the Adriatic, and the Aegean. Like, really, why are those different seas? The Black Sea, which passed through the Dardanelles, actually is attached to it, but that's certainly a separated sea. The Caspian Sea, that's the actual saltwater lake. Over here is the Arabian Sea and the Red Sea. Those are the 7 seas for all of you. And let me share with you some pictures. Where I put them, here we go. Okay, it was weird. The last time I was in Thailand, there were signs around warning that the penalty for drug possession was death. Now, weed was sold in stores everywhere. Is this progress? We had these chairs the whole trip up on the sun deck. We just came and laid our blankets there and then had them and look at the glorious view. They kept bringing us drinks against my protest. My protest being calling to the waitress, 2 more. Here, the sea cave stop. We got into these little kayaks and went. They insisted on guiding us, so we couldn't paddle ourselves, which is probably a blessing. The guides took the boats and we just sat comfortably there. Hong Island is translated as Red Island for this reason. You can see the red stone through the caves, into the caves. The dude abides. And through here. This was the luxury yacht that we took, the Sea Nuri. They also had these big puff day beds on the main deck that you could lay on. They were quite comfortable. Andaman Sea. Here's the entrance to James Bond Island. This was the spot where James and the man with the golden gun had their duel, right where that little Chinese kid is picking his butt. I went swimming in that spot with lightning in the background. And this is the famous beach. Every time we got on the boat, they handed us more drinks. And that's it. That's all I have for you today. Tune in again tomorrow. Bye now.